Good morning, everybody. Happy Monday. It's Ms. Kelly from Morse Pond. This is going to be a sewing video, not a music video. This is actually Sewing Room Episode 3. Episode 1 was part 1 of my hinterland dress. Episode 2 was my finished object and lesson learned of my hinterland dress. And this is now Episode 3. It is Monday, March 30th, probably about 11 o'clock in the morning. And today I'm going to be talking part 1 about here it is. Look at that. It's called the Arabella dress by Tina Givens. I'm not advertising for these people. Okay, I'm not recommending you buy it. I'm just showing you what I'm doing at home. So this is not a promotional video at all. And another disclaimer, I am no sewing expert. In fact, I'll tell you all the mistakes that I've made. My style is, I call it sloppy mess, and that not so much in sewing or knitting, but when I do my art journaling and painting, because if you focus too much on being perfect on everything, you're just going to drive yourself crazy. So I'm going to do other art videos too. That just reminded me. But anyway, today I want to focus on my next sewing project is the Arabella dress. And you might think, hold on, that it looks a lot like the hinterland dress, which it kind of does because it is a sleeveless ladies dress, but it's not the same. Okay. And okay, let's just talk about the difference in the patterns a little bit. For the hinterland dress, this lady did a nice job with the directions, although I do say you do have to have prior knowledge of sewing. She doesn't, walk your hand, hold your hand through every single way to do something, but she does have a nice 20-page booklet, all full of instructions and pictures and lists and tips, okay? And in the beginning, there's a little introduction and talk about how it's going to fit and what kind of fabrics they recommend, okay? So this whole nice little book. So I got a little bit spoiled because for the next one, I got this, which on the back has like this is the stuff you could read off the package in the store. It's just like a sizing chart. And then I found the directions were on the pattern itself. I had to cut them out. This is what I got. And this tiny little print, and there's like a few pictures, but not that many. So I folded it up, read through them all first because I have some questions. There's a really cool, I don't know if you noticed that little swingy thing in the front with the point. I'm about to do that part. Okay, so that's part of what makes the pattern unique. So I'm not going to be giving out all her designer secrets. That wouldn't be right. So I'm not sharing all the directions, but I just wanted to show you the difference in the amount of text I got. So I had this sheet, and it has some diagrams, but it's definitely not as in depth as the first pattern. But good thing I did this one first, because I already went through the 20-page booklet of how to put one of these together. And this is simpler. It does not have the button placket. It does have another piece there, but it doesn't have all those things that fold and buttonholes and all that stuff. So it's a little simpler. So my Arabella dress, I was really excited. I like to upcycle. I showed you guys in the first video I made about the purses that I sewed. Upcycling is when you take something and you make something else out of it. I have them right here, so I'll just do a brief review. If you, my very first video, I just talked about what upcycling is, where you take something and you make something else out of it. Okay, so I had upcycled a silk blouse, which is this fabric. A blouse is a lady's shirt. And it was the button-down kind with collar, and I just don't do button-downs with collars, but the fabric was so fabulous. That's what made me buy it. And then there's a vintage patch, and this is a piece of fabric from a pair of my husband's work pants that he no longer used. So anyway, upcycled means you take something and you make something else out of it. So a long time ago, one of my childhood friends, Jennifer, who I just talked to yesterday, and we talked about scarves. Her mom had this whole collection of silk scarves, and we loved them. And when her mom was out, we would go in her room in the silk scarf drawer. Her mom knew we had permission because they were just silk scarves, and we played with them. And we would make these fabulous outfits and put on plays. And we were just reminiscing about that last night. And so I like to upcycle fabric, and I remembered I had these 2 big bags of vintage silk scarves that I spent a long time collecting before I became a teacher. So I've had these in the closet for years, people. Years, okay? And so I never knew what to do with them. I worn some of them, and so I had this idea to make this. I always kind of want to make dresses out of them, but I didn't know. I didn't want it to be too hokey, so I thought the skirt, the fluffy skirt on this pattern would be awesome. So now the top, okay, here's the bodice, B-O-D-I-C-E. Whoops, it slipped a little bit. Of this one, and you might be thinking, well, gee whiz, it looks just like the other one. And it is. It's a lady's dress, and so it is almost the same. The things that are different is on the Hinterland dress, my shaping dart was over here. Remember, I cut that piece out. And on this one, the shaping dart is kind of up here in the armhole, so that was new. Okay, and also the neckline is much higher. One of the problems with my Hinterland dress that I made when it came out too big was that it's too big a little bit here. So I'm gonna wear a tank top under it, which I would have done anyway because it's so sheer. And I might end up liking it that way because it might not be too hot. So this has a much higher neckline than the other one, which is good. Okay, so obviously it's in progress. So I wanted to talk about the fabric fraying. I did talk about it in episode 2, so I'll just review here briefly. This fabric frays easily. Say that 10 times fast. Fabric frays easily, fabric frays easily. Which means it unravels at the edge. Okay, so you can see around the edge, this is still the raw edges after you cut it. And I went around and I sewed this little zigzag stitch. Oh, it still looks raggedy, I know, because will be hidden later. Okay, so I had to actually finish off my raw edges. Okay, so here's where I wanted to show you how you do the finishing on the sleeves. So in this pattern, she actually didn't call for this kind of finishing. She actually said do a roll hem, which you just kind of like roll it and do it, but that seems tedious to me, and I really liked how I did it on the Hinterland dress. So what I did was on the armhole, see this little piece here, where's that one? Is it on the floor? Of course it is. Okay. This is called bias binding. It's just a strip that I cut from the same fabric. And it's, okay, let's just talk about the grain quickly because you can see it nicely in this fabric. So the fabric lines are going up and down. This is just like jeans. This is called chambray, and it's really light denim, basically. Okay, looks like it, acts like it. So you see the line, that's called the grain line of the fabric, and the pattern tells you want that going up and down. I don't want it all crooked. So when you cut your pieces, it tells you to make sure, or not make sure, it tells you which way the grain line should be going. Grain line. Okay, you want that up and down. Okay? Okay, so on the grain line, it doesn't stretch across, up and down. Okay, but the bias is the diagonal, people. Here's our math word, the diagonal. Okay. When you go diagonal across the fabric and pull, it stretches. Okay, so that's called the bias. So when you make this little strip that goes around, hopefully you can see. Oh, see how those are on the diagonal? Yeah, there you go. And that way when I pull it, it'll stretch a little bit. And so that's made to go around curves. Okay, jeans don't stretch. Okay, most of the jeans people wear now have some kind of stretch in them, but actual just straight up 100% cotton denim, if you look at your jeans, if they're 100% cotton, then they don't stretch. This is made to go around the curve. So what I did on the armholes, which I'll show you, which I'm about to do, I won't do on the neck hole till the end. Hold on, I gotta swing this a little bit. Okay. This really isn't going to be a tutorial. I just wanted to show you what I did. I took this raw edges, and you pin it all along here and sew it. Okay, that's where I've done here. That's where I am on this. I pinned it all along there and I sewed it on. Now the magic happens over at the ironing board. And what you do is you take this. If you see me squinting, that's because I'm trying to see what's happening on the screen. I don't wear my glasses around the house. And tuck it under, all the way under, so you don't even see it. And then on the front, oh, it's all blown out. You have a nice finished edge. So anyway, that's what I'm working on now. And here's where I am, my progress on the Arabella. I won't go into too much detail about all these stuff. I'll just keep moving on. Okay, so here's the bodice. I have finished all my raw edges with a zigzag because this was starting to come apart. I should have done it as soon as I cut it, but I didn't, and that's why it still looks a little raggedy because I waited too long. Okay, I have my sleeve bindings on, which when I go to the iron after this video, I will do. And I'm going to fold all those under and make a beautiful finished edge. That's how that works. Okay, so I'm going to set this aside for now and go to the skirt. Oh, people. Are you ready? Okay, some of them I had to piece. So I sorted all my silk scarves. I went into the closet right here in the hallway and got out all the silk scarves and sorted them by color. Oh my gosh, you guys, there's so many pretty ones. I didn't know where to begin. I began because I knew I had this fabric left over from a skirt I made last year. So I picked scarves that would match this color so that I had something to make the bodice out of because, you know, I'm trying to use what I have here in my house. Okay, so look at all these beautiful scarves I found in the same color family. Here's the bodice. You can see how they match. This is actually another piece of the dress, this little thing. And, okay, hold on. Here they are. Ta-da! Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Okay, this I had to piece with two. I took this one and took a plain one. Oh, yes. Oh, yeah. So 1, 2, 3, 4. And then I have another piece. Look at this beautiful one. 5, and look at this pretty one I pieced. 6. Okay, see this one here? This is going to play an important role in the skirt, people. This is going to end up being the little point in the front of the, not in the front, I don't know where it's going to land. This is going to be that little point on the skirt that flounces out. So when working with the silk scarves, anything that I cut, I immediately did my little zigzag on the edge because this will fray. It's so soft and so light, you guys. And working with the vintage scarves, okay, I did not trim. Normally after you sew something, you would trim this down really, really small. But if I trimmed it all, I'd have to do a finished edge on it all. And all of these scarves, these are hand rolled. That means somebody already hemmed all these by hand all the way around. Why would I cut all that off and then do it myself? Okay, normally when you're sewing, this might be a lot of fabric to leave inside your project, but this is silk and it's so light and it's so fluffy, and I didn't want to deal, and I purposely cut this in a way so that all of these edges in the back were already finished, because a scarf already has 4 finished edges. And so piecing it, I only had to add my zigzag onto, like this one, I only had to cut a little bit off the top because it was taller than all the rest. So there we go, the silky skirt. Oh, yes. I'm about to turn on my iron. That's my next step, so that I can press all those seams open and start ruffling it. Okay, that's the step I'm at with the skirt. With the bodice, I'm going to finish my armholes. Okay, look at this. This is pretty cool. This is one of the things that makes this pattern cool that you can't see in that picture. Get rid of this. This is distracting me. Okay, here's the bodice. And before you add the skirt, it has this centerpiece. So for the centerpiece, this is another silk scarf. But it had a silk scarf on top of a piece of the chambray. I sewed it on top of it. It was really sheer and really light. And this beautiful old scarf had a hole over here. But the middle of the thing was beautiful, so I was able to use most of it, and it made the center panel. So the center panel is going to go, oh yes, in there, all the way down, and then the skirt will attach. So I will be finishing this today. Yay! And so episode 4 will be the finishing, my finished Arabella dress. So I hope you're having a great day, everybody. Thank you for watching my sewing videos. If you're into it, I will do more knitting, and I want to get into art journaling and a really cool thing called Zentangle. And I still haven't done the book talk. I know, I have a lot of things to do, and I need to start making music videos too. Anyway, if you're still here, I love you. Thank you. Happy Monday, and thank you for tuning in to the sewing room. Bye.